They recognize Islam as an open, dominating force, as a cult. I mean, it's simple. I mean, there's not a more ravenous, out-of-control cult in the world.
When I went to East Germany, and I spoke to elder people there, they said, we've seen this before. You can't talk about it. Shh, you'll lose your job. This is communism. We've had communism. We've got away from that. Now we have the same with Islam. You can't talk about Islam. You can't talk about the refugees. You'll lose your job. You'll lose your work.
For over a decade, I've been warning the British public about Islam. I've talked honestly about the effects of this authoritarian ideology that's been forced on us by the elitists, the bureaucrats and the far-left extremists.
And the fact is the police, the councils, the government, everyone needs to wake up.
But the media don't want to listen. In fact, they wanted to demonise me and every other working-class person like me.
Some of these burqa people are...
They parade me on the news as a racist bogeyman.
I've got people wanting to murder me and massacre me.
Well, then stop being a racist and a bigot.
Racist?
They didn't want to listen to our concerns. They laughed at us. They tried to silence us. And now, they're all watching us. We were right all along. The press lied to the public about my beliefs. They tried to make me out to be a national hate figure. They want you to think everywhere I go, I'm hated, I'm attacked. It's not even close to the truth. It's a total lie. Behind closed doors, people from all backgrounds and classes are waking up to the truth. We're all in grave danger. We've all been sold out by a media establishment that is funded by people who are working towards our destruction. Islamists, globalists, and the far left. The establishment hates us. Our children are being abused and indoctrinated. Popular culture is brainwashing us, and we're being sold out by our politicians. Rich and poor, black and white, young and old, we're all fair game. We must unite to protect the civilization we love before it's too late. In less than a year, I've worked with the rebels to bring in the other side of the story. We've highlighted the failures of our justice system,
folks.
our social services, and our government.
Hate preachers are inciting murder against people inside this building.
I've confronted the grooming gangs, the biased journalists, and the leftist authoritarians. And I've barely even started. I want to bring you a show that really rivals the liberal elitist media. To cover the stories you care about. Report on the events you can't make it to. And bring truth to your screens. I call it the Tommy Robinson Show. With your help, we'll make the mainstream media irrelevant.
That's right, folks. We're back live, broadcasting worldwide. Infowars.com, newswars.com are our main sites, presentplanet.com as well. We have Tommy Robinson joining us. And in fact, you guys, I had it 2 days ago, but we reprint me. It was a Breitbart article, but it was also linked to major British news with straight faces going, we're cracking down on hate. Some parents don't want their children to be taken to the mosque. Well, we're going to make you take them to the mosque because that's diversity. Now, we're not going to teach Christianity or make you go to a church, but you're going to go to a mosque. And I want to show the video we've got from the Mall of America and, you know, the weekly stabbings and all the rest of it, the Allah Akbar screaming. I can't move to their countries and have any of my freedom. So, but oh, come here. I'll do. Hell, you don't see me with my daughters wearing burqas on our heads. We're bad people. There it is. City cracks down on Islamophobia. City Council, after parents withdraw children from school mosque trips. Yeah, you don't want your little girls going to a mosque where they cut girls' genitals off or, you know, support suicide bombing or whatever? Well, that's a problem. Tommy Robinson, the activist and citizen over in the UK, has launched the Tommy Robinson Show. And I got to tell you, the story he tells in that trailer, that is the exact story we've tried to tell of globalism trying to sell us out, trying to bring us down, trying to Islamify the culture in their own documents to collapse society. And so we're going to play that trailer again, the start of the next segment, if you missed it. But I wanted to get Tommy on because I saw reports where families are being called racist or hateful if they won't take their kids to mosque on these forced trips to mosque. I mean, imagine where a bunch of weird men are that for sexual mutilation of women and all the rest of it. So the left is totally allied with this. That's in the news now. We have Mall of America up in Minnesota that looks like Somalia, and then they're stabbing and attacking people every week just there until no one will go there now. You can't go to Somalia. They'll kill you in 2 seconds. So what is going on in this larger master plan. And so, again, Tommy Robinson joins us, TommyRobinson.com. He's also got the newest book, Enemy of the State, and also Muhammad's Quran, actually quoting what's in it. So, Tommy, you're the tip of the spear when it comes to exposing this. Always great to have you back with us in the rebel media and the great work they're doing. I know getting attacked by Soros and others just like we are. You know, when somebody's doing good work, they're under attack. So listeners and viewers should remember to support you, support us, if you believe what we're doing. Because, hey, we're not complaining. We're going to fight regardless. But the more you pray for us, the more you spread the links, the more you buy the products, the more you become a subscriber to his show, the more you can, put out the main broadcast to everybody. We're in this together. This is a war. We're not financed by Soros or the Saudi kings or the globalists. We're financed by you. We're in this together. So, Tommy Robinson, thank you for joining us. The Islamification is only intensifying. Weekly truck attacks in Europe and the U.S. They had congressional hearings last week saying Jones reported there was an Islamic attack, and Paul Watson did. That is fake, and we want him shut down. The #1 story on Twitter about the attack in New York was InfoWars, Paul Joseph Watson. And the heads of Twitter, Google, and Facebook said, sir, we censored them at lunch. You're right, they're bad. So they're now saying not just that we're racist or sexist or Islamophobic or whatever the new crap is. Now it's fake news to report that the sun came up. Tommy?
I'm seeing, and I think this is only the start of Twitter, Facebook. Even just yesterday, I lost my blue tick, and I'm gutted about it, if I'm honest. I keep saying it. I'm gutted. Where they said that this is new Twitter regulations. New Twitter regulations where they don't want to be seen as though they're endorsing people, so they withdrew certain people's blue ticks. I believe Laura Loomer had hers removed. I believe all the people that had theirs removed are on the right of politics and talk about Islam. That's the way I see it. And currently, Ian Watkins, who was a singer in the UK who raped a baby, he still has his blue tick. The Muslim Brotherhood still have their blue tick, a terrorist organisation. Multiple people who have called for the death of white people still have their blue ticks. So obviously they're endorsed.
And let's explain what blue tick means for folks that don't know. It simply means you send in your license. Once you get big enough on Twitter or Facebook, you send it in. It proves that you are who you say you are to supposedly stop identity theft. That's all it means, is that, yes, you're a public figure and you are who you say you are.
That's it. If you search Tommy Robinson now on Twitter, you'll find multiple accounts using the same picture as me, exactly the same details as me, pretending to be me. Now, the blue tick used to mean I am the official Tommy Robinson, so people understand that that's what I'm saying is who I am. Now, there's obviously, now that we withdrew the blue tick, but by withdrawing the blue tick, they said because they don't want to be seen to endorse me. But then all the other people that I've just named, even Harvey Weinstein, he's got a blue tick. There's multiple other people still with blue ticks.
Well, before we had ours, we know why they're taking it away. Now people can masquerade as you, say horrible things that are attributed to you. They're getting ready to steal your identity.
And the media will probably run with the stories, yeah. Tommy Robinson said on Twitter. Tommy Robinson said on Twitter. But to be honest, Alex, I'm surprised they haven't closed my Twitter. And that is the next step. And that's not just for me. That'll be for yourselves as well, I think, Paul Joseph. I think at some point, our Twitter accounts will be closed. Our Facebook pages will be closed. Our ability to coordinate and cooperate and reach the masses. And there's obviously, I think in a 4-week period, my tweets reached 193 million people. My videos on Facebook were viewed by 49 million people. This scares them. It scares them because we are reaching the masses. Instead of going on the streets like I used to do in my previous organisation, we don't need to. We're reaching straight into people's living rooms and talking to them direct without the media bias, without the attack against us or the agenda against us. So that's how I see things going. This is just the start.
Let's get into the latest news. You've been decrying for a decade that they make children go to mosque repeatedly. They teach the Quran. They have them dressed like it. They're clearly being indoctrinated. Local governments have been bought off. They even let the Muslims sexually recruit young girls by the thousands. You first said that over a decade ago. It's all been confirmed now. Now they're going to go after the parents. They're saying that don't let the government, you keep your children home from school. You got to sign a form to let them go to the zoo or the planetarium, a consent form. But now they're saying, we don't want you to have consent. We're sending your kids to the mosque.
Yeah, and what they've now come out and said, if parents stop their children going to the mosque, they'll do virtual tours and they'll bring the imams into the schools. Now, my daughter, fortunately, wasn't very well on the day that the children at her school had to go to the mosque. This is a part of our national curriculum now, where they bring all children to the mosque, and they're being lied to. They're taken there and they're deceived. They're lied to with the.
They say this is a religion of peace, and having your genitals cut off is liberal, and women aren't. But of course, they don't tell you any of that. They say, "Yo, that's heavenly. It's loving," and the West attacked it. I've read the curriculum, and white people are evil, but the Muslims are wonderful.
That's it, and Islam is pro-women's rights, and this is the sort of things they're teaching all the children. And I explained to you before, Alex, that when I took my daughter to look at her new school, the bigger school, they had all these. They had when you took the children around, the children had to do a test, and the test was from religious symbols. And I watched as the only religious symbols the children knew. They obviously knew Christianity. The only other one that every one of them just went straight away was Islam. Islam and the mosque. Boom, 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 boom. And I've said to you before as well about when my daughter, I'll bring you back to just my home experiences. My daughter walked past me. I had the biography of Muhammad on the side because I was practicing and researching. And my daughter walked past, and bearing in mind, I want my children to remain children for as long as possible. I haven't I tried to avoid politics and avoid the discussions on Islam with them as long as I possibly could. And I think she was 7 years old at the time. And she's walked past and she said, "Muhammad, peace be upon him." And I said, "Darling, why have you just said that?" And she said, "That's what we got taught at school. We have to say that."
And that's right. And your book is written in Arabic. She literally looked at it and knew what it was because she was so indoctrinated. You're keeping her innocent, as you should. And by the way, we just put up mainstream news articles in the U.S. where they make the kids pray. Now, I used to hear this 15 years ago in the U.S. and thought it was made up. I used to hear you say it 15 years ago, and I thought that just can't be true. No, it's all true and worse. It's everywhere. And they're doing it in Austin. Thousands and thousands of, quote, refugees. They're full-grown men, 20 years old, 22, in the schools with the freshmen. And they're putting full-grown men in with the kids. And then they're teaching them, quote, Islam at Anderson High School.
We had, after the Manchester bombing in Manchester City, there was a documentary filming in the school. And the school the next day got after the Manchester bombing, after Allah Akbar had been screamed and children had been blown to pieces just 4 months ago, they got a pupil up, a Syrian pupil, up in front of the class. All the children, which were non-Muslim, got down on the floor. They all prayed whilst they all shouted.
Stay there. Again, this is about survival of open, free civilization. And Islam, under its orthodox system, is like North Korea. It doesn't allow you to live your life. It takes control of you. It creates zealots. It completely enslaves women. And the left globally sees Islam and 1.5 billion people, about to be 3 billion. They have on average 6 children. They see the West dying. And they say, let us accelerate this process for you. We're going to bring in Islam. We're going to get bought off by the second wave of it. The third wave is going to conquer you. And they write all these white papers. I've read them on air. Harvard, Princeton, Yale, saying, the EU, Peter Sutherland, the head of the EU program, whites are inherently bad, Christians are bad, the Europe's bad, and we're going to bring in Islam. And you go, why would they say that? They're white people. They're just getting the payoff. They're just amoral. And they understand racial politics. If you're going to have, 10 billion people that aren't white in the world and 600 million white people, about to be even less, whites are all dying. And then it's just like, let's all gang up now here at the end, race politics. And then it's crazy little demon toads like Peter Sutherland who actually say this. People say, well, what are you doing? Other people's shows, promoting them. Aren't you about your own show? Folks, I'm about fighting the New World Order. I'm about ringing the alarm bell for you and everybody else. It's not the average Muslim that's bad. It's not the average person that has brown skin that's bad. They're being organized into race-based systems by super cold-blooded people that want global domination. But just like they tell the third world, oh, we got carbon taxes 7 years ago at the UN meeting in Copenhagen, we're going to tax the wealthy whites. When they got the actual global legislation, it basically doubled taxes on the third world. They've been exploiting these people all day. They just want to get them on board in race-based politics, so they're not going to really give them an economy. They're just going to give them racism. So Tommy Robbins is with us a little bit in the next segment, but I wanted to play this promo for his new show. And I understand he's doing it from a microphone, a TV studio. It looks great. It's wonderful. That's important to do. And as he gets more famous, it gets dangerous for on the street. But that on the street stuff's great as well. It's why I still go out. Why Owen Schroyer goes out, Millie Weaver goes out, Rob Dew goes out, because we show how vicious the left and how vicious Islam is and how anti-Western, anti-progress, anti-woman they are. But here it is, the new promo for Tommy Robinson that says it all. We're under attack. They said we were wrong. We've all been proven right. Now we're standing up. The fight is now. Decide if you want to just commit cultural suicide and be conquered, or decide whether you want to say no. Here it is. In the past 2 weeks on the Tommy Robinson Show.
How many refugees do you think Germany can take?
Maximum is 4 million.
You can take 4 million refugees?
Yes.
If 5 million Muslims wanted to come in as refugees tomorrow, you'd welcome them?
Yes, I would.
If you look at England, I don't see a big problem there.
Where in the Bible does it tell you to take non...
Where does it say in the Bible about being
Europe started taking 10 mil in.
As 5 refugees have committed acts of terror in Europe in the last year, how, if you welcomed 100,000, how would you tell who's a terrorist and who's not?
Yeah.
Could you imagine this in England?
In my own country, and leaders who are standing up and speaking for their people.
Again, for radio, it's strong, but it's really powerful for video. Infowars.com/show. So again, the globalists know this is going to be another 20-year process. Okay? And they know it's going to create such societal collapse and such societal crisis that authoritarianism will have to come in to control the chaos. But there's no doubt that 10 million in Europe, millions here, just in the last couple of years, have brought in anti-family, anti-Christian, anti-woman, anti-gay, crazed people that kill each other in their own countries and know they're attacking and are covering it up. What, till they build critical mass? I mean, they've blown up the drawbridge. They've stormed the castle. They want reinforcements in before they declare what's happened. I mean, why are they clamping down and even saying in Congress, Alex Jones cannot tell people that a Muslim killed folks in New York? They actually say that. They say, this is fake news. It must be banned.
Alex, you know what's amazing for me was I've recently traveled to East Germany, and I've just come back from Poland 3 or 4 days ago, yeah? The difference in Poland, when you see a country where you never thought people would be grateful for communism at a time, but because they had communism, and because it didn't change till 1990, and because of the Iron Curtain...
They recognize authoritarianism.
Yeah, they recognise it. They didn't have an influx of immigration, so they're still... because they're the only culture and the only race in their country, they're allowed to be proud of who they are. In our country, we can't. I've just come back and I've seen the most unbelievable scenes of patriotism that I've never seen. I've never experienced anything like I experienced this weekend in Poland. I saw hundreds of thousands of Polish who were defiant, who were so energetic, in love with their identity, their history, their culture.
And that's because they've been overrun by the Muslims more than 20 times, and the Nazis, and the communists, and the Russians, and they understand. And you're right, they never had the first level invasions the last 50 years. Suddenly, when the next mass wave hit that was supposed to hit Germany and Europe that was already conditioned and broke, they got hit with such a massive wave of giant snakes of millions of people. They went, this is an invasion. We, Grandpa, Grandma, my mama got hit by this. I saw Nazi invasions. I saw Soviet invasions. And great-great-grandpa saw Muslims invasions. And that's what this is. They know.
They know. They know what it's like to fight. It's what they said to us. You haven't been challenged. You have not been challenged. The biggest uprising, civil uprising in history was in Warsaw, I believe, in 1944.
That was the Jews, yeah.
They all have relatives after relatives who have told them these stories. They understand the need to fight. They understand the battle against communism. They understand what communism done to their country. They understand what Islam will do. And I went and met a politician from there, a leading MP from the Law and Justice Party, their leading political party who are in power. And the difference in this man compared to any MP in Britain, the difference in him, how openly he spoke, how he didn't dodge questions, how his main concern and his main reason was to stand up for Polish people and make sure they're safe. He welcomed me, and it was refreshing.
He wasn't a fake. He was a man.
He was a man. He was a man. Poland is full of men, real men. Real men. And it was so refreshing.
But you know, Russia has gotten out from under communism as well. They recognize Islam as an open, dominating force, as a cult. I mean, it's simple. I mean, there's not a more ravenous, out-of-control cult in the world.
When I went to East Germany, and I spoke to elder people there, they said, we've seen this before. You can't talk about it. Shh, you'll lose your job. This is communism. We've had communism. We've got away from that. Now we have the same with Islam. You can't talk about Islam. You can't talk about the refugees. You'll lose your job. You'll lose your work. So, yeah, it's been to see the difference in the different countries and to know that Eastern Europe, to know that Hungary, to know that Poland, to know that Czech Republic, I think are going to become countries that we all look to for inspiration.
Exactly. All because they won't be conquered. We'll be right back. Remember, it's the mega banks, the ultra-rich using the Muslims. They are being used. They're victims, too. People ask me why I get so upset. It's because I'm not out to conquer anybody. I don't want to run anybody's life. I got too much going on in my own life. And then you study history, you learn about people being conquered, and then you study modern politics, and you realize it's really happening. And it just goes back to, I'm not the toughest guy around. I never won a fight that I started, and I probably only started a couple fights, and I got my ass kicked both times because I wasn't in the right. I never lost a fight where somebody else started it. And there's this thing about people saying, all these imams, and it's the norm. We're going to conquer you. We're going to get you. There's nothing you can do. We're going to take your women. And then it's like, you're going to take my women and bring them to big palaces and make them free? No, we're going to cut their vaginas off, and we're going to not let them go to school. We're going to put hoods over their heads. And we're all intermarried, and most of the birth defects are us. I tell the British royal family, stop intermarrying, you nuts. By the end of the different, you know why all the Egyptian dynasties started dying a couple generations in? Because they were inbreeding. I mean, it's just not good. And you see this, and then the left's allied with it. And then they had this drag queen festival with all these men naked with little kids with only glitter on their genitals. And they go, well, it's okay because it's liberal. Well, if you saw a guy naked at the park around kids, you go to jail. There were women with hijabs. And women with hijabs last weekend, because we have some on video, but there's more on their Facebook channel. They're clapping, giving money to the naked men with a unicorn horn is all they're wearing. And then there's silver glitter on his quite large, non-erect member. I mean, this guy basically looks like a gay porn star with a little kid. I mean, it's like, what world is this? And then there's women with hijabs there. And then you go to these rallies with Linda Sarsour, whose family's in prison for being terrorist, and she's saying, feminism, cut your vagina off. They're like, yeah, cut it off. And then we've got women in Germany going, Allah Akbar. And then now in Sweden, they want to make the national flag Islamic, blue instead of red like Turkey, saying because of the Crusades, picking and killing Muslims. The Crusades were after 200-plus years of Islamic invasion. The Islamics wrote books bragging about it. We lost Spain. We lost half of Poland. We lost Hungary, Romania, all of it. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, Vlad the Impaler was the big dictator because he stopped them finally. Do you understand this? Tommy, what is this? Like these women that we know go to these anti-racism festivals in Sweden, and they're literally gang rape festivals where they line up 20 deep and rape women. The police do nothing. And the women later say, well, I'm Swedish, so I deserve to be raped. And you're watching these women like begging for their lives being raped, and the liberals are like, it's liberal, it's liberal. What? Why is the left so into this?
I've seen those interviews. I've seen those interviews with a Swedish lady when they're asking her, and she said, well, maybe it's something we done. Maybe we didn't because of their culture. It's like, it's painful. It's painful. And to be honest, you see that this left-wing hysteria that's involved in this, I don't know any girls from our background or my background or any women I know that are aligned to that. So I don't want to kid myself that, because this is a very loud are very loud and prominent far-left groups, but I wouldn't say they're in any way mainstream of the people. But they are in control of the media. There are, it's like, you know, you're talking those videos you just showed me of that man with that young child, that picture there.
Yes.
What is that? And just this week in the news in the UK, they're trialing it out in 7 schools in London, where ladyboys, which is all they can be called, is ladyboys, transgenders, whatever you call them, will be going into nurseries to children aged 2 and 3 to talk to them about gender. Age 2 and 3. Are they taking... I'm like... If anyone's...
No, they bring scantily dressed men into the public schools in the U.S., and they tell the kids, you're not a boy, you're a girl, you're going to be a drag queen, and then a guy takes his pants off and walks around naked, and the children hug and kiss him on TV. That's what we do in Austin.
If anyone stood next to my kid like that, they'd know about it. If anyone stood... That is...
But you're hateful. You don't want to let your kids give money to guys pole dancing?
Yeah, that's child abuse. That's child abuse. Kids should not see that. And not just... It's funny. It's just mad timing that you're showing me that. And just this week in the UK, they've put in plans as a trial for 7 schools in London where transgenders, ladyboys, whatever you call them, will be entering into the schools.
Oh, yeah, that's Tavistock Institute, MI6, to break up the family. The government's going to come in, confuse your child, and then give them to a new sexual mentor that will be like their new mommy or daddy, who is a obese man in a dress.
We've just had a teacher suspended in Oxford in England this week. He's been suspended from work because he's got a girl, 2 girls, but that one of the girls now decides she's a boy, okay? Now, he's been teaching them, and at the end of their class, whatever they've done, he said, you done well, good work, girls. He's been suspended because he said girls.
That's right. Let's go back. Parents are telling their 1-year-olds, you're another sex now. There was the headline, transgender teaching to elementary schools and nurseries. There was the headline. Nursery students to have their brains scrambled, as Camille Paglia says, total child abuse run by the Tavistock Institute, mind control division of MI6. You can't make that up. London Evening Standard.
No, that's it. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's this week in the UK. That's this week in the...
Sir, it's Australia, it's Canada, it's Scotland, it's Germany. Sir, here, they take children in to hotels at ballrooms. Men walk out with nothing on except glitter on their genitals and then kiss the children on TV just to get everybody ready for it. That's all they're doing. It's like, look, we'll do what we want. We conquer you.
It's like I said 30 years ago, this whole gender fluid argument would have been seen as a never. I think they're preparing. I think paedophilia in the next 20
this is pedophilia coming out, and a lot of folks are idiots and don't get it. But that's what this is. Quote, we're going to teach 2-year-olds how to be transgender. We're going to teach boys and girls that you're not what your biology is. This is total sexualization. They're just doing it.
We've got celebrities, Chris Evans, turning up on the red carpet, and his son is wearing a dress. His 6-year-old son is wearing a dress. And I think when the journalist asked him, why is your son in a dress? He said, it's not a dress, it's gender neutral. But
see, they play these mind games. This is meant to destabilize civilization so they can commit all their crimes. But Harvey Weinstein and their whole program's going to fail, my brother.
It would fail.
But isn't it funny how Islam says you can have sex with boys, but men can't have sex with men? So boys are for pleasure, women are for sex, according to Islam. Is that why it meshes so well, is the pro-pedophile thing?
There you go. Chris Evans' son wears dress. Like, this is... You are playing with children's minds. You are confusing kids. Yeah, and that's what they're doing. And it's like, these discussions should never be had with children. You are disturbing children. And you know what?
Armies of perverts have taken control of the schools, and they use our open society to do it. They know just what they're doing. They're pervs.
Do you know, I spoke to someone the other day who works at a real high-end private school, a really top private school. And she said, do you know the numbers in the private school? So obviously in our working class schools, this would still be rare. No kids coming in a dress. I wouldn't have said so, yeah? When you get to the posh high-end society, their children are turning up. Like she said, what they wear, they don't have to wear a uniform at this real high-end school. What they all come dressed in, so that half the boys are in dresses, half the boys are dressed in all silk. It's like, what are you creating? What are you doing?
They're teaching men not to be assertive, and they're teaching women to be basket cases. It's how you bring civilization down. It's all declassified. Tommy Robinson, I want to get you back very, very soon from the front lines there. Congratulations on your best-selling books and all the work you're doing and what the Rebel's doing. Hold strong, hold fast. We're going to ring the alarm bell. It's always darkest before the dawn, and I believe humanity is awakening, and I know you do as well, so we'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thanks, Alex. Cheers, man.
We'll be back with breaking news.